What do you think is the sexiest quality a person can have?
Confidence. If you have the right level of confidence, then you're able to sell anything about yourself, whatever you're wearing, whatever you're doing, however you're feeling. If you feel like yes, then like everyone else is going to feel like yes too.
Which of the 5 senses do you think is most important for attraction?
I don't want to say looks, like a sight, although I worry it might be that. I'd like to think that it's touch, like the actual feel, that skin-to-skin contact.
If you could run any scientific experiment to understand attraction, what would it be?
I think if I was going to run an experiment, maybe trying to figure out how important looks are by taking it away completely. Like a blind taste test, but a blind sexy test. Yeah, blind love. Blindfolded sex. A scientist, by stereotype, is like a very specific image of the lab coat and the goggles. But I know that scientists come in all shapes and sizes, and a lot of the time, a laboratory doesn't mean that you have Bunsen burners and beakers. Anywhere can be a laboratory, depending on what science you're doing.
What do queer spaces mean to you, and what does the loss of them mean for our communities?
Queer spaces are like where I found out who I was. I found my family and my tribe and my community. We were able to feel safe, comfortable, and confident in being who we are and not be stared at just by presenting as our natural selves. Create that energy that we need to take on this scary, scary world we're living in. And so the loss of these spaces means that we have less places where we can go and feel safe. Some people are talking about the move to the digital platforms. We're creating communities online, which is true, and you can see how booming the queer community is on the internet, but that should then be reflected in physical spaces. If we're able to come together online that much, why can we not be given or find spaces where we can come together in real life?
What do you think is the most challenging thing about dating in the queer world, and what's the best thing?
I think dating as a queer person is quite difficult because it's difficult, but it's also exciting for the same reason of we don't see a lot of queer relationships and queer love in cinema and on TV and in history. We don't have a lot of examples we're taught. So we don't quite know what to go off of, which is kind of difficult because you don't have a laid out floor plan, but it also means that there's not a strict heteronormative, monogamous, let's get married, have children floor plan. So we don't have to obey these rules of society. Like we as queer people can have relationships that define ourselves and are right for what we need and our needs. So we kind of have that freedom, but we also don't have as much to go off of. We don't have as many generations above us who were having queer relationships in the open that we can model ourselves after. So we kind of are building things up from scratch. The few floor plans that we do see for queer relationships and queer people on TV are so limited. It's mostly white, cisgendered males that are gay together. And being someone that doesn't fit into that category means that a lot of time, we're all brainwashed from watching TV and movies and stuff, and what we find attractive is often just what we've seen. So when you're a person of color, or you're non-binary, or you're trans, and there hasn't been examples of people in movies and TV that identify like you do, that have been depicted in a positive, attractive, sexual way, a lot of people find trouble finding people that fall outside of the norm as attractive because we've all been fucking brainwashed watching the same movies and TV for generations. And we never got to see, a queer, interracial, bisexual couple. Some people find it difficult to expand their mind and challenge themselves of what they find attractive. And I know it's a process that we all have to work toward. You have to actively teach yourselves to look at things differently and try to expand your realm of attraction. Because if you're just going after the few images we've seen on TV, you're going to have a very boring dating pool.